is right in this area. That's the start of her thoracic spine. So this is plenty of movement. We can bring her back over, and then we can go the other way. So if you feel like you're at a disadvantage, if you're someone that's shorter, Sandy, then maybe this is kind of stressful for you, your body. Yeah. Okay, but otherwise you're fine to do both sides. So you can get one side, you can get the other side. You're usually probably okay to do that. If for some reason you feel like you're struggling, then just hop around and you just do one side at a time. Good? Any questions?
No. So you're not walking in the
Thanks, Candy.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we're gonna take our knees and bring them up to our chest to start working on flexion. Okay, and those are the only two we're gonna worry about. So we're gonna do flexion, we did rotation. So I go underneath our knees, we have that same starting position, underneath the knees, bringing knees up toward chest. Okay, if you can tolerate it, we can do a single arm to come up and then back down. If that feels really heavy for you, you can switch over and you can use your other arm to help you kind of brace a little and come up and then back down. Kendall, let go. It's okay. Remember, I had to lift Michaela's legs way heavier. Good thing we didn't record this. Michaela's not here. Okay. So there we go. She's asking her blank. Her internet wasn't working, so I figured it was okay. All right, so that's flexion. Okay, and then we're just bringing them back down to neutral. We're not going into extension. All righty, any questions about that?
No.
Thanks, guys. Somebody's pretty good at yelling no loud enough. The other thing just to note as you do your flexion extension that we don't want to get crooked. So as you come up here, just watch yourself because you may end up going kind of sideways or leaning over this way as you come up if you're struggling. Make sure that you stay in a single plane of motion. Check, check. Good. All right, we're gonna move on and go down here to the ankle. I'm gonna leave this one bent up just for a second. Actually, probably just switch legs, that'd be smart. All right, are you comfortable there? Do you want something under this thing? Are you good? Okay. Do you care if I take off your shoe?
No.
Boy, that shoe was, I couldn't see anything. Good. So we made our point though. We have full clearance of the foot here. Kendall, scoot down just careful. Okay, so remember when we do any type of stretching for the knee, for the ankle, we care about that knee position. So if we're trying to isolate more of a stretch into the gastroc, then that knee's gonna stay in extension. If we want to try to take the gastroc out, then we need to use some towels or some pillows and bring that knee into some flexion, right? So gastroc if knee's straight, taking out the gastroc, isolating the soleus if the knee's bent. Okay, so we're gonna start with just having her knee straight. Kendall doesn't mind if I move her leg over.
Where's your record now?
She should know that, because how many times we said that about passive insufficiency. All right, so you can cup the heel, kind of use your forearm to push through the foot. My other hand's gonna block to make sure that the knee stays in extension. And then I just can kind of lean into her. Okay, so there's that. And then if we took our pillow, place that under her knee,
No, that's the.
okay, then we can have it from that position. We have knee and flexion, so I can stretch again that same movement.
Stretch soleus.
Is that PC good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we can isolate her soleus. Okay. Good to go?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. All right, you can just flip it around for me if you don't mind now. So head this way. Sorry, yeah, no, that was a good choice. That was my fault. And then I actually want you to come to the edge of the bed if you don't mind. I feel like the hair goes so purple and I enjoy that.
Would you like a shampoo today?
All right, so when we go through our cervical range of motion, our hands are going to be cupping the occiput with most of our fingers. Just our thumbs are going to come over here along her zygomatic arch, which is her cheekbone. Or if you wear makeup, my understanding is that's where you would apply blush. Okay, so along the cheekbone, following just underneath the eye, we're not trying to cup her ear. This is kind of weird, and then she can't hear you. When you're like, Mel, are you hurting? Are you hurting? All she hears is the ocean. Okay, so we're not going to do that. You're fine. Relax your hips. And then what we can do from this position, we can take her through any movement where we want to stretch. So usually we're gonna kind of want to come into that side bend. Okay, so I go one direction and then the other direction. She'll let me. Okay, so there's our side bend. All right, we can go into rotation. So I can kind of switch my grip over if I need to. Got a lot of movement. Look at that. So I can still cup with one hand across our occiput. Use this other hand to kind of help guide the motion. And then back up. And then we can also go into flexion from here. So when we go into flexion, just like I told you guys with passive range of motion, we can work on doing just like a little nodding first. And quit. We can go from there and try to move her. She's totally doing that. That's fine.
I can't nod.
So a little nod first, and then bringing her up into flexion. Notice how all this is lifting up? She's getting an ab workout because she won't relax her head. Oh, look at that. All right, so that's what it should look like going into flexion. And then if we needed to stretch out her neck flexors, I could take her down like we did with passive range of motion for extension. So let's switch back just one more here for me. Okay, good. So we can take her down into extension. Yeah, just stool, that'd be a great time for it.
That's not a good body mechanic.
Usually, it actually was good body mechanics.
I'm just
Not
kidding.
something I want us to say. Usually you don't want to position them towards in-range extension because it's actually a little bit of a irritation to a little thing called your vertebral artery. It's one of the arteries that comes up and helps feed part of your brain. And putting them in extension with any type of rotation is a way to try to isolate that and target it for structural integrity. So you guys don't have to know that. You just need to know that usually we're not going to put anybody in that position ever, but if you for some reason need to stretch that, most of the time if you need to work on stretching some of their neck musculature, just like a little towel roll underneath their neck, relax that head, would be enough, just like that type of positioning. So there's no need to go into that hyper-extended state. Okay, so usually just that little bit of extension would be fine to stretch out the stuff here. Okay, so side bend, we did them all right. Side bend, rotation, and then flexion, extension. I think that's everybody. All right, so y'all practice those. So we have the lumbar spine, rotation, inflection, cervical spine, each movement, and then ankle dorsiflexion in both positions. And I technically didn't do plantar flexion, so spin around. You guys gotta tell me that. No. So we go through and do plantar flexion. We can leave her in the same position that we were in when we did dorsiflexion, but I might just put this underneath her leg a little bit, just to give me, you can almost slide this under, if you don't, just so she can see, just to give me a little more clearance from the table, because I don't want her heel dragging along there. Okay, so I can just move her down into that position, and then just hold if I was trying to stretch into plantar flexion. Okay. If you do any eversion, inversion, then you can play with the angles of how much dorsiflexion, how much plantar flexion she's in. Usually we're going to start somewhere around neutral, not in a fully plantar flex state. And that's simply to help us target those different muscles, because certain things come around the foot further or further back. And so going into different ranges of plantar flexion, dorsiflexion may help you target it subtly differently, but usually starting around neutral, sweeping in for inversion, sweeping out for eversion, okay? Right toward the middle of the foot, other hand stabilizing so that when I push, her tibia doesn't run away from me, okay? So same thing for both. Check, check, okay, practice it up. Thanks, here, I'll just prop them up here. Practice away, practice. Your turn, practice. Yes, you have one person gone.
Okay, do we want to get in the groups that we're going to do?
Yeah, lumbar, cervical, foot.
Okay, so get in the groups, or get in the pairs that we're going to do for those.
When you close it, it's not. Close it all the way. Yeah. No, that's fine. I know why you did it. I just, if you don't shut it all the way, it's just so cut down. And then, who's gonna be my helper? Kim Craft. Gonna be my helper.
I don't know if you have to stabilize it.
When we switch to do the practice parts, our job is to come over here and do this. Look at that. Okay. I'll have to hear what's happening over there.
Alright.
Okay. And then just undo it when we go back to the lab.
I don't know if he's a Christmas Hey, we have a question.
You're not really blocking, you can just start watching. And so when you go this way, if it starts to go off the table, then you're okay. This is kind of okay. In the video, they block here and then push here, so that again, once the trunk is lifting up, then you're like, that's enough. So I just kind of do it, watch what I'm doing here. Which way you kind of in there? Not blocking, just watching. And then once he gets past, like where your fingers are sitting, that's the end. You feel how this is his rib right here. That's his last connective rib. So that means his floating ribs are right here. So this is already the thoracic spine. So once you know that he's going there, nope, you're done. Like he's now hitting that through his upper trunk. Yeah. So I just use that as my guide, but this is fine. If you're trying to stabilize and you really want to push him.
Then I can't move.
Yeah. Okay. But that's through your lumbar spine. It's like all she's blocking is movement in your around.
Just pushing it through.
Yep. Back and flip your hands and then go the other way. You're gonna flip flop. There you go. Lumbar.
Moving my desk into the other. No.
You got your desk?
Yeah. It kind of. And I don't have any artwork on the wall, so it kind of.
I don't think she really, she just kind of died.
But it's motivation to get it done.
That's good.
Okay, yeah. Is it knee flexion? Just hip flexion?
Knee flexion.
So block the knees.
So the knee is good? Okay.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Although we didn't do
This
that
is the
one.
gas drop.
I know. That's the first one.
Yeah, that one. That was rotation.
Okay, so we can
So either way.
And it's just like moving it. What, will you show me what you
Push down the knee. Yeah. Flex up, dorsiflex.
Oh, okay. So
That's gonna stretch the gas drop, and when it flex the knee, it's gonna stretch the pelvis.
that's.
Okay. So ankle.
So you breathe his hands on, which one that you want?
Yep.
Hip. This one.
You're right.
You go ahead and get comfortable.
We're just doing like.
Under, yeah. No, but say under here.
Right, but she has like a two-hand thing.
Because you do both.
Huh?
It's both.
It's the same for the,
What do we do?
No. I'm trying to figure it out.
It's just hip. She did both. She did both legs.
Is that it?
I think so. I think this.
Alright.
Okay. And then the ankle. I'm trying to buy. Although I feel like you got to like push more on the.
Just feel
like weird, maybe we should go.
I think maybe her like arm was like up on the back of the foot, like there, so you like push, there you go, cause like, this, like, see my, yeah, I want my foot in,
Are y'all good?
and then the next one would be then,
Wait, don't move on the feet, but, so, if you're cupping the heel, you do more with your arm to push.
Yep, so you can tuck his heel, and then you can just use your forearm.
Okay.
oh,
Is
that feels
this
good.
As long as he's getting the stretch, that's fine. Yeah, he has pretty decent motion.
You
there,
do,
so that part is probably,
Okay.
you know,
You need
it's
the,
part of the position.
And then just the,
Kim, Hope, y'all good?
and then if, with the pillow, then you
No
like,
question.
then it's so.
No, these bad boys are sturdy. They got steel legs, like, you have to be trying to break everything. I don't know. Well, you know when we did our knee stuff, I was like, we were talking about who's in what room, and I was like, I'm fine with using the table if you feel like the table's not. She's like, no,
I think
but
it's
they
just
are,
the
they're
same,
pretty
except
solid.
for like this way, but.
I have personally been on
doing the
less
same.
trustworthy tables in the continuing ed course that were like these wooden rickety things. Like from a hotel room. So you should be.
You're allowed to tell about it.
Yeah, you should be fine.
How long do we hold, like, in the?
Oh, how long are we holding, Rebecca? What a great question.
It depends.
It depends is the real answer, but what do we want to aim for? What are we thinking?
20 to 30 seconds?
Yeah, usually 20. So we said 15 to 30.
Okay.
Between that total time, the more reps you're going to do, you probably don't want to necessarily hold it quite as long if you're doing it all in a single bout and you want them to turn around and use something functionally. If you're purely going just for range and you're not worried about him immediately getting up and doing function, then a long duration stretch is a good thing. So holding it for a long period. All right, let me leave. I'm leaving.
My name is Sadie, her name is Anne.
You watch yourself and you pass me the stool.
That's literally my name.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Oh, okay. Sandy,
Evers and Ingers.
Read it, thanks.
Alright, how about your girlfriend? Does that feel different?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
You
that.
gotta stabilize it, like, to be.
How much is it?
This is control one, yeah.
Yeah.
Stretching of your lumbar?
And then you keep the, yeah.
Kim, will you go turn the thing back on for me?
I think, are we about to start class? I think we're about to start. You're good.
I don't know if it really,
Not really, huh? Alright.
and then the head, but we did that, didn't
We
we?
did that.
You missed something? Oh, okay. And on your sheet, it has you go through, you need to know who are the primary movers. I hope you can hear me. Who the primary movers are for each position, right? So like the shoulder we talked about, if we're stretching them into a position to gain shoulder flexion, then what muscles are we stretching? The shoulder extensors, such as.
Hey, I got a question!
Oh, they have a question. Chris, I need to yell at you.
Open the door, Chris. Open the door. Side doors. Side doors.
Open every door.
Where was the, we were gonna put a different sheet for this online, but I don't think we did.
I think that Amber, did I not
It's on there.
Oops, I lied.
Now the whole world knows. He lied. Okay. So we're good with that. All right. So
Where is it,
if we push them into further shoulder flexion, we're stretching their shoulder extensors, and then we were going to talk about what's a shoulder extensor. What's a muscle that extends the shoulder? Who are our primary shoulder extensors? Latissimus dorsi, a helper. Who else? The triceps and anterior major. Good. Those are major muscles that are contributing probably the most to the motion. Right. So remember, there's a list of those things in trail guides. If you don't know,
And then shoulder, not a finger.
right? So they called it, I think, like a synergy list or something. So it's all the primary muscles for each primary motion listed out.
No stretching.
Okay?
Oh.
So
What-
you
what
make sure you
page are
do
you
that when we
on?
go through the practical. If I'm like, oh, we're gonna stretch into
Where is
shoulder
that?
extension, what muscles are you stretching?
I mean, I
Shoulder
do, but I want
Okay,
the
those are shoulder
form.
flexors.